Captain Jake Morrison walked slowly across the bridge of his new ship. The USS Defiance was unlike anything he had ever seen in his 20 years of service. The walls seemed to glow with a soft blue light, and the control panels responded to his touch before he even pressed them. Everything felt alive somehow. "Captain, we are ready to leave the shipyard," said Lieutenant Commander Alex Turner from his position at the navigation station. His voice carried a mix of excitement and nervousness that Jake could understand. They were all feeling the same way. Jake looked out through the main viewing screen at the massive construction facility that had been their home for the past 6 months. The facility was hidden in the shadow of Neptune, far from prying eyes. For 15 years, thousands of workers had built this ship in complete secrecy. Most of them still did not know what they had created. "Take us out, Alex," Jake said quietly. Nice and easy. The ship moved forward with no sound, no vibration, nothing that would normally tell them they were moving. Only the stars shifting on the screen showed they were leaving the dock. Jake had commanded 5 different ships in his career, but none of them had moved like this. The Defiance felt more like flying than sailing through space. Chief Engineer Sam Rodriguez looked up from his console with a wide grin. "Captain, all systems are running perfectly. Better than perfectly, actually. The power output is 3 times higher than our best estimates." Jake nodded, but kept his expression calm. He had read the technical reports, but even he did not fully understand how this ship worked. The scientists called it quantum technology, but that did not mean much to him. All he knew was that the Defiance could do things that should have been impossible. Communications Officer Katie Bell turned in her chair. "Sir, we are receiving a priority message from Earth Command. Admiral Carter wants to speak with you immediately." The main screen changed to show Admiral Lisa Carter sitting in her office on Earth. She looked tired, which was not surprising. The past few months had been difficult for everyone in Earth's military. "Jake, congratulations on your new command," she said with a slight smile. "I wish I could give you more time to get used to the ship, but we have a situation." Jake straightened in his captain's chair. "What kind of situation, Admiral?" "The Zephyrians have issued an ultimatum. They want us to give up all human colonies in the Outer Rim systems. They claim we are expanding too fast and taking resources that belong to them." Jake felt his jaw tighten. The Zephyrians were a powerful alien race that controlled dozens of star systems. They had been putting pressure on human colonies for years, demanding tribute and making threats. Earth's government had always tried to negotiate, but the aliens seemed to think humans were weak. What did the president tell them? Jake asked. Admiral Carter's smile disappeared. "The president told them that human colonies belong to humans. The Zephyrians gave us 72 hours to change our minds, or they will take the colonies by force." Katie Bell checked her instruments. "Admiral, that deadline was 60 hours ago." "Exactly," Admiral Carter said. "Our scouts report that a Zephyrian battle fleet is already moving toward the Kepler 442 system. Over 200 ships, including their flagship. They expect to crush our defenses and make an example of the colonists there." Jake looked around his bridge. His crew of 800 were all good people, trained and ready to fight. But he had never imagined their first mission would be this important. "Admiral, the Defiance is just one ship. Even with our new technology, those are not good odds." Admiral Carter leaned forward. "Jake, I need you to understand something. This ship is not just our newest vessel. It represents 15 years of secret research and development. Technologies that even we do not fully understand. The alien races think they know what humans can do. They think we are still flying around in primitive fusion ships with metal hulls and chemical weapons." She paused and looked directly at him through the screen. "They are about to learn they were wrong." Sam Rodriguez spoke up from his station. Captain, I have been studying the technical manuals for months. This ship has capabilities that sound like science fiction. The engines can fold space itself. The shields can absorb energy attacks, can turn them into power for our weapons. And the main gun. He shook his head. The main gun can tear holes in reality. Jake felt a chill run down his spine. He had heard rumors about the reality fracture cannon, but he had assumed they were exaggerated. How is that even possible? We do not know, Admiral Carter admitted. The technology came from research projects that were classified above my level. All I can tell you is that it works. The test results were beyond anything we expected. Tactical Officer Ben Hayes looked up from his console. Captain, I am reading. Massive energy signatures moving through the Kepler system. The Zephyrian fleet has arrived. They are taking positions around the colony world. Admiral Carter nodded grimly. Jake, those colonists are counting on us. 30,000 men, women, and children who left Earth to build new lives. The Zephyrians will either kill them or make them slaves. We cannot let that happen. Jake stood up and walked to the front of the bridge. Through the viewing screen, he could see the stars of deep space stretching out in all directions. Somewhere out there, innocent people were waiting for help that might never come. Admiral, what are my orders? Proceed to the Kepler 442 system at maximum speed. Engage the Zephyrian fleet and drive them away from human territory. Show them that humanity is not as weak as they think. Jake turned to his crew. These people had trained with him for months, learning to work together as a team. They trusted him to lead them into battle, and he would not let them down. Alex, set course. For Kepler 442, maximum speed. Yes, sir. Course laid in. Sam, bring all systems online. Full power to weapons and shields. All systems ready, Captain. Katie, send a message to the colony. Tell them help is on the way. Jake sat back down in his captain's chair and took a deep breath. In a few hours, they would face the most powerful alien fleet ever assembled against humanity. The odds were impossible, but he had confidence in his ship and his crew. The USS Defiance turned toward the distant stars and accelerated into the darkness. Behind them, the secret shipyard grew smaller and smaller until it disappeared completely. Ahead of them waited a battle that would change the galaxy forever. The ultimate human warship was finally going to war. The USS Defiance dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Kepler 442 system. Captain Jake Morrison looked at the main screen and felt his heart sink. The Zephyrian fleet was even larger than the reports had said. How many ships? Ben? Jake asked his tactical officer. Ben Hayes worked quickly at his console, counting the enemy vessels. 237 ships, sir, including their flagship, the Warbringer. That thing is 3 times bigger than anything we have ever seen. Jake could see the massive alien ships spread out across space like a dark cloud. They surrounded the small human colony world, cutting off any escape routes. The colonists were trapped with no way to run. Sir, I am receiving a transmission from the Zephyrian flagship, Katie Bell reported from her communications station. Put them on screen, Jake ordered. The image changed to show a tall, reptilian creature with dark green skin and yellow eyes. This was War Leader Vexthul, the most feared military commander in the Zephyrian Empire. He had conquered dozens of worlds and never lost a battle. Human vessel. Vexthul spoke in a deep voice that sounded like grinding rocks. I am surprised to see you here. One small ship against my entire fleet. Are you here to surrender your colonies to us? Jake stood up and walked closer to the screen. War Leader Vexthul, I am Captain Jake Morrison of the USS Defiance. I am here to tell you to leave human space immediately. The alien commander made a sound that might have been laughter. One ship against 200. You humans are either very brave or very stupid. Perhaps both. Other Zephyrian officers could be seen on the screen behind their leader, all of them looking amused. They whispered to each other in their own language, probably making jokes about the foolish humans. You have 30 seconds to begin withdrawing. Your fleet, Jake said calmly. If you do not, I will consider your presence here an act of war. This time Vexthul did laugh, a harsh sound that filled the bridge of the Defiance. Human, my sensors show that your ship is made of unknown materials. Your energy signature is strange. But you are still just one vessel. I will give you one chance to run away before I destroy you. Jake looked back at his crew. They were all watching him, waiting for his orders. San Rodriguez nodded from his engineering station. Alex Turner had his hands ready on the navigation controls. Ben Hayes was already calculating weapon targets. War leader, Jake said, turning back to the screen. You should have taken my offer. He made a cutting motion across his throat, and Katie ended the transmission. The alien commander's face disappeared, replaced by the view of the enemy fleet. All hands, this is the captain, Jake announced over the ship's communication system. We are about to engage a superior enemy force. Today, we show the galaxy what humanity can do. Battle stations. Alarms began to sound throughout the ship as 800 crew members rushed to their positions. The bridge lighting changed to a dim red color, and protective barriers rose around each station. Sam, bring the quantum engines online. I want full power to all systems. Engines online, Captain. All systems showing green. Ben, target their flagship first. Let them know we mean business. Target locked, sir. Reality fracture cannon is charged and ready. Jake had never fired the ship's main weapon before. None of them had. The tests had been conducted in empty space, far from any observers. He was not sure what to expect. Lucy, take us into the middle of their formation. Let them get a good look at us. Navigator Lucy Chun's fingers flew over her controls. The Defiance began moving forward, accelerating toward the enemy fleet. Jake expected to feel the ship shake or hear the engines roar, but there was nothing. They moved through space like a ghost. The Zephyrian ships immediately opened fire. Hundreds of plasma beams and missile volleys streaked toward the lone human vessel. The bridge crew braced for impact, but Jake remained calm. Shields up, he ordered. The enemy weapons struck the Defiance and simply disappeared. The plasma beams were absorbed completely, not even causing the ship to shake. The missiles exploded harmlessly against barriers that seemed to bend space itself around the ship. Impossible, Ben whispered, staring at his instruments. Sir, the shields are not just stopping their attacks. They are absorbing the energy and feeding it into our weapon systems. Jake smiled. Then let's give them their energy back. Fire the reality fracture cannon. Ben pressed the firing button, and something incredible happened. A beam of twisted light lanced out from the Defiance toward the massive Zephyrian flagship. Where the beam touched the enemy ship, reality seemed to fold in on itself. The Warbringer, a vessel that had terrorized star systems for decades, simply ceased to exist. There was no explosion, no debris, nothing. One moment the flagship was there, and the next moment there was only empty space. 2,000 Zephyrian warriors had vanished as if they had never existed at all. The remaining enemy ships stopped firing. Complete silence fell over the battlefield as both sides tried to understand what had just happened. Katie, open a channel to all Zephyrian vessels, Jake ordered. Channel open, sir. Attention Zephyrian fleet, Jake announced. Your flagship and your commander are gone. You have two choices. Leave human space now or join them. For several long moments, nothing happened. The alien ships hung motionless in space, their crews probably arguing about what to do next. Jake could imagine the panic on their bridges as they realized their most powerful weapon had been destroyed by a single shot. Then, one by one, the Zephyrian ships began to turn away from the colony world. Their engines lit up as they prepared to jump to faster-than-light speed. Within minutes, the entire fleet was gone, leaving only empty space where they had been. "Colony ship New Hope is sending us a message," Katie reported. "They are asking if it is safe to come out of the emergency shelters." Jake sat back down in his captain's chair and let out a long breath. "Tell them the danger is over. Tell them they can go back to building their new home." The battle was over, but Jake knew this was just the beginning. Word of what happened here would spread across the galaxy within hours. Every alien race would want to know how one human ship had defeated an entire Zephyrian fleet. The USS Defiance had just announced to the universe that humanity was no longer the weak species that everyone thought they knew. 3 days after the battle at Kepler 442, the entire galaxy was talking about what had happened. Captain Jake Morrison sat in his ready room reading report after report from Earth Command. Every alien government wanted to know how one human ship had destroyed the most powerful battle fleet in Zephyrian history. A soft chime told him someone was at his door. "Come in," Jake called out. Dr. Maria Santos, the ship's science officer, entered carrying a datapad. She looked tired and worried, which was not like her usual calm manner. "Captain, we need to talk about this ship," she said, sitting down across from his desk. "I have been studying the technology for 3 days straight, and I am starting to understand things that scare me." Jake leaned back in his chair. "What do you mean?" "Sir, the reality fracture cannon does not just destroy ships. It removes them from existence completely. When we fired at the Zephyrian flagship, we did not blow it up. We erased it from reality itself. Those 2,000 alien soldiers were not killed. They simply stopped existing." Jake felt a chill run down his spine. "How is that possible?" "I do not know," Maria admitted. "The technology is beyond anything human science should be able to create. The power requirements alone should be impossible. But somehow, this ship is doing things that break the basic laws of physics." Before Jake could respond, his communication system activated. Katie Bell's voice came through the speaker. "Captain, we are receiving an urgent transmission from Earth. Ambassador Greg Watson needs to speak with you immediately." Jake touched a button on his desk, and the wall screen activated to show Ambassador Watson sitting in what looked like a very fancy office. Behind him, Jake could see tall windows showing alien architecture. "Jake, congratulations on your victory," Watson said, but he did not look happy. "However, we have a new situation developing. I am currently on the Andromedan home world, and they have requested a meeting with Earth's leadership." Jake had heard of the Andromedans, but had never seen one. They were the oldest and most powerful civilization in the galaxy. For 50,000 years, they had controlled most of known space, treating younger races like children who needed guidance. "What do they want?" Jake asked. "They want to know how we develop technology that they consider impossible," Watson replied. "The Andromedan High Council has ruled the galaxy for longer than human civilization has existed. They have never encountered a species with weapons that can affect reality itself." The screen changed to show a tall, pale figure with large black eyes and silver hair. The creature moved with grace that seemed almost like floating. When it spoke, its voice was musical, but somehow cold. "I am High Counselor Zephys of the Andromedan Collective," the alien said. "We have observed your recent military action with great interest. Your species has developed capabilities that we believed were beyond the reach of any race in this galaxy." Jake stood up straighter. He was talking to one of the most powerful beings in known space. "High Counselor, Humanity has always been innovative. We simply applied our creativity to military technology. Innovation, the Andromedan repeated, and Jake thought he heard amusement in the musical voice. Captain Morrison, we have been watching your species for over 2,000 years. 3 days ago, you were using primitive fusion reactors and chemical propulsion systems. Today, you possess weapons that can rewrite the fundamental structure of space and time. The alien leaned forward slightly. Such advancement is not possible through normal development. We wish to know how you acquired these capabilities. Jake looked at Maria, who was shaking her head slightly. They had agreed not to reveal too much about the ship's technology until they understood it better themselves. High Counselor, humanity has been working on advanced research projects for many years. The results speak for themselves. The Andromedans. Large eyes seemed to study Jake through the screen. Captain, we are not concerned about your military victory over the Zephyrians. They were always an aggressive and ultimately doomed species. We are concerned about the implications of reality-altering weapons in the hands of any race, including humans. Ambassador Watson stepped back into view. High Counselor, Earth has always been committed to using our technology for defensive purposes. Only, of course, Zephyrs replied. All species make such claims. However, the weapon you used creates effects that could potentially damage the fabric of space itself. If used incorrectly, such technology could threaten entire star systems. Jake felt the weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders. He had known the reality fracture cannon was powerful, but he had not considered that it might be dangerous to the galaxy itself. What are you asking of us? Jake said. The Andromedan Collective wishes to examine your technology. We have scientific facilities that could help you understand the full capabilities and limitations of what you have created. In return, we would share some of our own advanced knowledge with your species. Maria stood up quickly. High Counselor, with respect, humanity prefers to develop our own technology. We are not looking for outside assistance. The Andromedan's expression did not change, but Jake sensed disapproval. Dr. Santos, we are not making a request. We are offering cooperation. The alternative would be for the Collective to classify humanity as a potential threat to galactic stability. Jake understood the threat behind the polite words. The Andromedans had enough military power to crush Earth completely if they chose to do so. But they had also just seen what the USS Defiance could do to an entire battle fleet. High Counselor, we need time to consider your offer, Jake said carefully. Of course. However, we should inform you that other powers in the galaxy are also taking notice of your capabilities. The Vorthic hegemony has declared humanity an enemy of their empire. They are assembling the largest military force in galactic history to attack your home world. Jake felt his blood turn cold. The Vorthic were even more dangerous than the Zephyrians. They had conquered hundreds of worlds and had never been defeated in battle. How large a force? Jake asked. Current intelligence suggests over 5,000 ships, Zephyrs replied calmly. They intend to destroy Earth completely, as an example, to other species who might develop similar weapons. The screen went dark, leaving Jake and Maria staring at each other in silence. The USS Defiance had won one battle, but now they faced the possibility of war against the most powerful military force in the galaxy. Jake touched his communication button. All senior officers to the bridge immediately. We have a new mission. The ultimate human warship was about to face its greatest test. 2 weeks later, Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Defiance, watching the most terrifying sight he had ever seen. The Vorthic Armada stretched across space like a wall of death. 5,000 warships moved toward Earth in perfect formation, their weapons already charging for battle. Sir, long-range sensors are picking up massive energy signatures, reported Ben Hayes from the tactical station. Every ship in that fleet is bigger than anything the Zephyrians had, and their flagship is the size of a small moon. Jake nodded grimly. Admiral Carter had warned him this would happen. The Vorthic Emperor, a creature called Supreme War Master, Kral, had ruled his empire for over 300 years. He had never lost a battle and considered himself the greatest military leader in galactic history. "Captain, I am receiving multiple transmissions from Earth Command," Katie Bell announced. "Admiral Carter, President Williams, and the Joint Chiefs all want status reports." "Tell them we are in position and ready to engage," Jake replied. He looked around at his bridge crew. They had been through one impossible battle already, but this was different. This time they faced odds that seemed truly hopeless. "Sir?" Dr. Maria Santos called from her science station. "I am detecting some strange readings from our own ship. The quantum engines are showing power levels that are off the charts. It is almost like the ship knows we are about to fight." Before Jake could respond, 3 more shapes appeared on the main viewing screen. He felt his heart leap with relief and amazement. 3 ships identical to the USS Defiance were moving into position beside them. "Captain Morrison," a familiar voice came over the communication system. "This is Captain Roy Miller of the USS Vengeance. Sorry, we are late to the party." "Roy, I thought we were the only ship of this class," Jake said, unable to hide his surprise. "Apparently not," came another voice. "Captain Ellen Brooks of the USS Retribution, reporting for duty. Earth Command has been busier than any of us knew." A third voice joined them. "Captain Nick Freeman of the USS Salvation. Looks like we have some aliens to send home." Jake felt a surge of confidence. 4 ships against 5,000 was still impossible odds, but at least he was not facing them alone. "All Defiance-class vessels, this is Morrison. Form up in diamond formation. We go in fast and hit them hard." The 4 human ships moved into position with perfect coordination. Jake was amazed to discover that their quantum communication systems were linked together, allowing them to share information instantly across any distance. "Sir, the enemy flagship is broadcasting," Katie reported. "Put them on screen." The image showed a creature that looked like it was made of living metal. Supreme War Master Kral stood over 8 feet tall, with silver skin and glowing red eyes. Behind him, Jake could see hundreds of Vorthic officers on the bridge of their massive ship. "Humans," Kral spoke in a voice like grinding machinery. "I am Supreme War Master Kral, conqueror of 1,000 worlds. You have impressed the galaxy with your victory over the pathetic Zephyrians. But now you face the true masters of war." Jake stepped forward. "War Master, this is your only warning. Turn around and leave our solar system immediately." Kral made a sound that might have been laughter. 4 ships against 5,000. "Even with your strange weapons, you cannot possibly defeat an armada of this size. Surrender now, and I will make your deaths quick." "We tried diplomacy," Jake said to his crew. "Sam, give me everything the engines have got. Ben, target their flagship. All ships, begin attack pattern Alpha." The 4 human vessels accelerated toward the enemy fleet at impossible speeds. Jake felt himself pressed back into his chair as the ship moved faster than light itself, appearing and disappearing across the battlefield like ghosts. The Vorthic fleet opened fire with everything they had. Thousands of energy beams and missile volleys filled space with deadly light. But the human ships danced between the attacks, their quantum engines allowing them to move in ways that defied physics. "Shields are absorbing all incoming fire," Sam Rodriguez reported. "Power levels are increasing with every hit we take." "Reality fracture cannons charged and ready on all ships," Ben announced. "All vessels, fire at will," Jake ordered. 4 beams. of twisted reality lanced out from the human ships toward different sections of the Vorthic fleet. Where the beams struck, entire formations of enemy vessels simply disappeared. Hundreds of ships that had terrorized the galaxy for centuries were erased from existence in seconds, but the enemy kept coming. Even losing hundreds of ships, the Vorthic fleet was so large that it barely seemed to make a difference. "Sir, enemy reinforcements are jumping in from hyperspace," Ben reported. 3,000 more ships, including mobile battle stations. Jake felt his heart sink. They were fighting better than he had ever imagined possible, but there were just too many enemies. "Captain," Dr. Santos called out urgently, "I am reading massive energy spikes from all directions. Something is happening to space itself around the battle." On the main screen, Jake could see reality beginning to bend and twist. The repeated use of the reality fracture cannons was having an effect on the fabric of space around Earth's solar system. "War Master Crawl is activating some kind of super weapon," Ben announced. "Energy readings are off the scale. Sir, I think he is trying to turn our own sun into a bomb." Jake watched in horror as the enemy flagship fired a massive beam directly at Earth's sun. If they succeeded in destabilizing the star, it would destroy not just Earth, but every planet in the solar system. "All ships, emergency maneuvers," Jake ordered. "We have to intercept that beam." The USS Defiance turned toward the sun and pushed its engines beyond their limits. Jake knew they had only seconds before the stellar detonator would make Earth's sun go supernova. "Ben, target the beam itself with the reality fracture cannon. We are going to try something that has never been done before." "Sir, firing directly into a stellar core could have unpredictable effects." Jake looked at the burning star that had given life to his homeworld for billions of years. "We do not have a choice. Fire." The reality fracture cannon discharged directly into the heart of the sun itself. Instead of destroying the star, something incredible happened. The weapon stabilized the nuclear reactions, neutralizing the Vorthic detonator and actually making the sun burn brighter and safer than before. "Impossible." War Master Crawl's voice came over the communication system. "No weapon should be able to heal a star." Jake smiled grimly. "War Master, you just learned something new about humans. We do not just destroy, we protect." The tide of battle was about to turn, but Jake knew the hardest fighting was still ahead. 6 months after the Battle of Sol, Captain Jake Morrison walked through the corridors of the new Galactic Alliance headquarters on the moon. The building was filled with representatives from hundreds of different alien species, all working together to create a better future for the galaxy. The war against the Vorthic had ended 3 hours after Jake had healed Earth's sun. When Supreme War Master Crawl saw his ultimate weapon not only fail, but actually make the human home star stronger, his entire fleet had surrendered. The sight of 4 human ships defeating 8,000 enemy vessels had broken the spirit of the most feared military force in galactic history. "Captain Morrison," a familiar musical voice called out behind him. Jake turned to see High Counselor Zephes of the Andromedans approaching with several other alien dignitaries. "High Counselor," Jake replied with a respectful nod. "How are the negotiations going?" "Better than we had hoped," Zephes admitted. "Your species has surprised us once again. When we offered you a seat on the ruling council of the galaxy, we expected you to demand the largest territory and the most resources. Instead, you proposed something we had never considered." Jake smiled. "Equality is not a new concept for humans. We just think it should apply to everyone." The new Galactic Alliance was based on ideas that Captain Morrison and the other ship commanders had suggested. Instead of rule by the strongest, every species would have equal representation, regardless of their military power or technological level. The 4 human super warships would serve as peacekeepers, preventing any single race from dominating the others. "Sir, Katie Bell's voice came through Jake's communication device. "Admiral Carter is ready for the ceremony." Jake excused himself from the alien diplomats and made his way to the main assembly hall. Thousands of beings from across the galaxy had gathered to witness the signing of the new galactic constitution. Admiral Lisa Carter stood at the podium, looking proud but tired. The past 6 months had been the busiest of her career, as she helped negotiate treaties with dozens of different civilizations. "Ladies, gentlemen, and honored beings of all species," she began. "Today we witness the birth of a new era. For the first time in galactic history, all intelligent races will have an equal voice in governing our shared space." Jake found his place among the other ship captains. Roy Miller of the USS Vengeance nodded to him, while Ellen Brooks of the USS Retribution and Nick Freeman of the USS Salvation stood at attention nearby. The Galactic Alliance will be guided by principles of cooperation, mutual respect, and peaceful resolution of conflicts, Admiral Carter continued. "And when those principles are threatened, 4 special vessels will stand ready to defend them." Dr. Maria Santos approached Jake from across the room. She looked excited about something, which was unusual for the normally calm scientist. "Captain, I finally have some answers about our ships," she whispered. "You are not going to believe what I discovered." "What did you find?" Jake asked quietly. "The technology did not come from human research. We found records hidden deep in the ship's computer systems. Earth was chosen by an ancient civilization called the Builders. They disappeared from the galaxy over 1 million years ago, but before they left, they hid advanced technology in various locations." Jake stared at her. "You mean someone else built these ships?" "Not exactly. The Builders left the knowledge and materials, but humans had to prove themselves worthy of using them. All the wars, all the struggles our species has faced for centuries, we were being tested. The ships only became functional when humanity showed it could use ultimate power for protection rather than conquest." Jake thought about this revelation. It explained why the ships seemed to have minds of their own, why they responded better to defensive actions than aggressive ones. "There is more," Maria continued. "The ships are not just weapons. They are teachers. The artificial intelligence systems are slowly sharing advanced knowledge with our scientists. Medicine, engineering, space travel, all kinds of technology, but only as long as we use it responsibly." Chief Diplomat Susan White stepped up to the podium to read the final articles of the Galactic Constitution. Her voice carried clearly through the vast hall as she outlined the rights and responsibilities of every member species. "Article 12, she read. "No civilization may be forced to join the Galactic Alliance. Membership is voluntary and may be revoked at any time. However, any species that threatens the peace and safety of others will face intervention by Alliance peacekeeping forces." Jake knew that meant his ship and the 3 others like it. They had become the guardians of galactic peace, a responsibility he had never asked for but would not abandon. After the ceremony, Jake returned to the USS Defiance in Earth orbit. His crew was busy with routine maintenance, but the ship felt different somehow, more alive, more purposeful. "Sam, how are the systems running?" Jake asked his chief engineer. "Better than ever, Captain," Sam Rodriguez replied with a grin. "It is like the ship is happy about something. All the quantum readings are in perfect harmony." Jake walked to his ready room and looked out at the stars. Earth hung below them, blue and beautiful and safe. The human colonies in the outer systems were thriving again, no longer afraid of alien attacks. Trade was flowing freely between species that had been enemies for centuries. Then Hayes came to his door. "Sir, we are receiving a distress signal from the Rigel system. Pirates are attacking civilian shipping lanes." Jake smiled and headed back to the bridge. "All hands, prepare for departure. Looks like the galaxy still needs us." The USS Defiance turned away from Earth and accelerated toward the distant stars. In the past year, they had gone from being the weakest species in the galaxy to its protectors. The ultimate human warship had indeed proven too powerful to be fair in the wrong hands. But in the hands of those who fought to protect rather than conquer, it was exactly what the galaxy needed. The age of human guardianship had begun, and the stars were safer because of it.